Hello, hello, yo, pop girly.
What's
Everybody's so creative.
up? I hope you guys know that Levi asked us he was like, "What, how should we start this?" And then he was like, "I got it."
Okay, that's actually just so not what happened. That literally you just made that up.
Well, hi everybody. Here we are.
Here we are. Oh,
Here we
guys,
are.
guys, I have to tell you something.
You got a
What?
fever?
I'm running a fever,
Yeah.
and I looked at the thermometer, and it just said dance.
Thank God.
I got a dance fever, y'all.
I went to the doctor and he said I have dance fever.
And he said the only cure, nothing.
Choreomania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
yes, that's
Okay.
medical.
So, welcome back
So,
to another episode.
yeah, well, welcome back to another episode. We're starting
Oh
this
my God,
off.
we're
So
goofy. We are
We're kind
goofy
of
right
manic
now.
right now.
We need to
we're
get
kind
into it.
we literally are manic. Okay, Halsey. Um, yeah, so I'm so excited to be talking about this album. Florence is, as I think we've talked about on the pod before, she's one of my favorite artists of all time. And it's kind of crazy. I feel like that she hasn't really gotten much mention on the podcast yet, besides Maria dragging her existence on Tortured Poets and saying that she should die for Florida.
Oh my God.
Direct quote, everyone, look it up.
False,
The
false, 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 false.
Also, I love how she said her me was Florida by going track 8.
I like didn't have the guts to say it because I was so nervous.
Like the fear in your eyes. Do you know what's funny? For a second, I actually think when you said that, for a second, I thought you were saying guilty as sin. And I was like,
That would be insane.
Well, I was
that'd
so
be just
scared
craziness.
because I mean, you streamed Florida like 5,000 times last year, and I'm like, oh my
As
God.
everyone should. As everyone with ears and taste and, intellectualism should.
I love how Levi's more mad about Florida being her me now than in the
Yeah,
moment.
you gave me so
Well,
much grace in that moment. Now you're not.
I gave you so much what? I gave you so much what?
Grace.
Also known as Drew's favorite Florence song. Yeah, I was just deciding to be a kindness punk, but now I'm not anymore. And now I'm a mayhem
Because
monster.
Chromatic is over
Chromatic is over, thank God.
It's because the
And
planet of Chromatica got obliterated.
by Mayhem.
it got Well, yes. Um,
Yes.
okay. But before we get into the album, we're gonna do our hot tracks, the songs that we've been living, laughing, and loving this week. Um, Maria, why don't you give us your sizzling hot track? So sizzling hot.
Yes, I'd be glad to. So I feel like my hot tracks for a while haven't actually been like new songs. It's just been like, oh, I'm into this right now or whatever. And I'm excited because today I actually have a hot track that just got released, and it's Tonight by Pink Panthers. I've been
Oh yeah.
living for it like so hard. And I've never listened to her music before. Because I feel like I couldn't get past the like how like not they don't like her songs don't feel like songs
They
really
don't.
because
They
like
feel
they
like
have just like
jingles.
they feel like jingles and they have like a very like untraditional song structure in that they're just like very short and sweet and all of that. So it's like they don't really feel like songs, but I feel like this song definitely feels like a song. So now I'm kind of on board and really excited for her album that comes out in May if this is going to like inform the rest of it. But it's so fun. I've been living for it and the music video is so cool. It's very, very cool if you guys have seen it.
Yeah,
But
I've seen the music video. The music video is really, really cool.
yeah. So yeah, I'm like super on board. I have a friend who is like obsessed with her and has always been. And I've always just been like, I don't get it. Like I think this is just something I'm just like not gonna get ever. So I'm kind of like
You getting
indulging.
it?
Yeah, you getting it? So yeah, now I'm kind of like indulging in like the ooh, I'm getting it now. I'm kind of starting to get it. So that's my hot track.
She's the kind of I'm not really getting it, and I want to get it because I think that like her visuals are really cool, and I think the
Yeah.
idea of her is really cool. I do love The Boy's a Liar, And I really like the
I like
song that
that
she
one
did.
too.
I like the song that she did for the Barbie movie as well, Angel.
Oh, I don't remember.
That song, I don't know if it's really in the movie. Maybe just like the instrumentals in the movie. That song's really good though. But
Hmm.
just kind of her as a whole, like I feel like for the reasons that you talked about, I just have yet to crack. She also like she's talks a lot about like that she doesn't really like listen to albums and like she doesn't like
Yeah.
think songs should be long and like I don't know. It comes across as a little like anti-art to me, which is strange because it's like, babes, you're literally a musician. What do you mean you don't listen to albums? Like, now that
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
It's a very like Zoomer perspective on like music and music consumption from her, I feel.
I just think like
So,
I don't know. Yeah, she kind of represents like this like trend I feel like of probably our generation that like nonchalance is cool and like not caring is cool and like I like artists that care. Like,
right.
oh, like okay, unpopular opinion, I like when people care about what they do and like dedicate their life to. I know that's
It's
crazy.
like the Beyonce clip. People don't make albums anymore.
They just want their little quick singles.
They don't make albums.
Okay, Slay though. That video is really good though.
Yeah. Wait, I also because you mentioned Boy's a Liar. Did you ever see like when that song was coming out and it was like a big deal? When like it's like the parts in the video where they're standing in front of a green screen and people would put like other videos behind it and make like song mashups with the song. So
Oh,
it's Boy's a Liar, but they strip the instrumentals and then put in the Weird Fishes instrumental and then behind them it's like
that's
actual
funny.
fishes and then like Radiohead. It's so funny.
I
I'll
do love that song. I think that song's a serve. I'm sorry,
It's
I do.
good.
But I'm
It's
also
good.
kind of an Ice Spice apologist. Gra. Like I, I I think she's so good. I love her. Sorry. You think you're shit, you ain't even the fart. Like, I'm sorry.
Right. Karma is that girl like
Karma is that girl. Like, I mean, it's just, it's so good. Karma is the fire in your house. I'm sorry. I love her.
so funny. Well,
Okay.
okay, so I'm expecting your Hot Track Levi to be Ice Spice.
I'll go. It's not, sadly. I actually had a really hard time figuring out what my hot track was going to be because I've been listening to like so much music. I mean, part of me was like, maybe I'll like do like a double dip situation because with preparing for the Dance Fever episode, I've been listening to just to a lot of Florence in general and like just kind of like reliving like my favorite Florence moments. And she's just such a special artist, which we'll talk about more. But like, I've been listening to some of my like all-time favorite Florence songs. Like All This in Heaven Too is one of my all-time like top five Florence songs, one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's like I think that is one of the greatest love songs ever written. Um, I've been listening to a lot of Tay. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, guys, but I'm still in the department. I'm still at a department meeting. I'm still a tortured fucking poet. My poetry is so tortured.
Don't be sorry. Live
I'm
your
not
truth.
sorry, actually. I'm
Don't
not
be sorry,
sorry.
be tortured.
Don't be sorry, be tortured. And that's what I am because it's just like I just love that album so much. I just find it so insanely special and I kind of can't believe that it exists and it truly to me is like fine wine or like fine cheese. Like it just gets better over time. And
You with it's
I'm like
like in Ratatouille where they try like the fruit and the cheese.
literally, literally, that is me with torture. You dip the tortured in the poetry, and it's just good. Like it just is. Um, and I've been loving like the whole like fresh out the slammer thing the last like week, like that like song going
Yes.
viral. Like
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, it's like gone viral because of the Glenn Powell, Sydney Sweeney, like them like because do you know about like the rumors that they were like a thing on the set of Anyone But You?
No, but I can imagine.
So there
And
was like a
then
lot of like
didn't she just
speculation,
yeah.
and she was like with somebody at the time, and
Hmm.
then she just broke up with that her ex fiance, and then like the next day was seen with Glenn Powell at his sister's wedding, and so it
That's
was
tea.
very like now, pretty baby, I'm coming back home to you.
And then
So
didn't
But
like was
Jack
the internet
post
like,
about it
whoa, this is
too?
so the
yeah, and
song or
so
what?
like that song, yes. So there was like a lot of like edits of like the two of them together with like Fresh Out the Slammer, and then it like started going viral. Like the streams were like exploding, and then Jack tweeted a few days ago. He's like, "I'm loving the Fresh Out the Slammer thing. It's my favorite song of the album."
Whoa.
Taste.
which is actually like so taste. Like that song specifically is so good. Like if I was
That's
Jack
sweet.
Oh,
Antonoff, I
girl.
literally would think I was the hottest shit in the world for producing that song. The way
My
that the
favorite Taylor
guitars
Swift
sound,
lyric.
and what is it, Drew? Recite it.
Squirrel doing all my poems.
Because she literally swirled him into every single poem. Like that's what's so crazy. Just that one line recontextualizes like the last
Every
three
single thing.
albums. The realization I had to have about Cardigan being about Maddie Healy was that was a painful day for Levi. That was I was not okay. But anyways, that's all to say I'm going for my hot track. I'm also going to be going with the new song. I'm going with the new Haim song. Everybody's trying to figure me out. Drew a few weeks ago had Relationships, the first single from their new project, as his hot track, and Relationships is incredible. It's so good. And then Everybody's Trying to Figure Me Out to me is even better. I know Drew is still Relationships ho, but I love Everybody's Trying to Figure Me Out. It's like I don't can't really think of a song that sounds like it. It has that like same kind of like melodic structure. It's I also love Danielle's vocal performance on it. She has this like
Yeah.
grit in her voice and she's really like pushing
Hmm.
it, which I find so incredible. And I love the production on it. I think Rostam's production is amazing. And I've just been loving every aspect of all the Newheim stuff. I've loved both the songs. I've loved all the visuals. I've loved the way that they're like campaigning it on social media. I just love Haim so much. They're one of my favorite
Yeah.
artists, and I'm so excited for this new album. So if you haven't listened to Everybody's Trying to Figure Me Out, it's incredible. So you should definitely give it a listen.
Danielle's vocals in it give me major Sheryl Crow in that
Oh,
song.
that's like the highest praise
Ooh.
that you could give anything.
Love Sheryl Crow. Like when Sheryl Crow was doing like all the rock stuff.
Yes, I completely see
That,
that.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah,
Okay, your turn, Drew.
amazed. So I'm also gonna go with a new song for this.
Ho,
Woo!
ho, ho, ho.
So Miss Abrams decided she wanted to light a
Oh
bitch up
God.
because
This is bad.
yeah. So she
Suicidal.
released a song called Death Wish, which was I not expected. She performed it live at her show at the O2 in London, and then she released like a live version of it. And poor Paul, he
It
got ripped up.
okay, is it for sure about Paul?
I some of the lyrics I was like, this has to be about him.
It's like,
Weren't they
I'm
seen
like,
together recently though?
but aren't they still
no.
dating? They're not dating.
Well, I don't know if they're dating, but they have not been seen together in a while. Like since he started like Streetcar, I don't think they've been seen together.
Maria, have you listened to the song?
I didn't
It's
even know it existed.
insane.
It's like it's bad for mental health people. It is seriously worrying in the best way.
Like I can't believe she was like, I think I'll perform this.
Like,
Okay,
can you
so
give
the
me a taste?
title, yes, the title comes from the line "A breath of your air is a death wish." Yeah.
Gag.
But how will it
Paul?
end? How long will you give me till you twist the knife with a smile while you kill me? Ooh.
Also the like the that fell for you there's a line where she says that like she compares him to something that's like insane. Here, let me
Okay.
find it.
So that
This
was
is also
specific.
so funny because like so Paul and Gracie break up. Uh Barry and Sabrina break up. And they're all going now into Beatles world to film all four of these Beatles movies. Like I feel like there's something connected with all of these breakups. And
What
it
is
has something to do
happening?
with the Beatles movies.
What is that picture of Barry Keoghan has haunted me
Okay, I
from
found it.
Girl, it's chilling.
it's Cowardly
Okay,
Lion.
the lyric that fucks me up the most was, and it freaks me out that I'm old enough to know you as a gateway drug.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, Maria, it's bad. It's like super
And the vocal
serious.
performance, if
Is
y'all
insane.
think Gracie can't do live, Let's maybe take a listen to
Well,
this.
yeah, because Maria, it's a live recording. So like it's her playing the piano and singing at the concert. And like it sounds like it's a studio recording.
Wow.
Your everything will never be, you live to look for enemies. I have to bet that's lonely, could leave you with an empty house. Like she's
Every line is like, ow.
Gag it.
literally,
That's crazy.
But yeah, Death Wish.
yeah, that's a good song, girl.
That's a good song.
It really is. Yeah. Okay, are we ready to get into the album?
Time to dance.
Yes.
With the fever. So I am so excited to be talking about this album. Like I said, Florence is one of my favorite artists of all time, and this album is very special to me. It has a very dear and close place in my heart, which I'll talk about more like once we're giving our thoughts on the albums. But okay, here's kind of the summary and background of Miss Dance Fever. So starts off background. In 2018, Florence the Machine released their fourth studio album and Drew's favorite Florence album, High as Hope. They toured the album from 2018 to 2019, and at the end of that album cycle, like she does with every single album cycle, lead singer Florence Welch had thought that she was going to stop doing music and settle down. As she told NPR in 2022, quote, I need to stay still because touring is hard and putting yourself out there, even in records, is hard and it doesn't get easier. You'd think you'd get used to it, but the more you give and the harder it gets. I was like, I need to take a really big break. However, around this time, Florence had a huge spike in inspiration. And so instead of taking a break and a rest like she thought she was going to, she began writing like crazy. And so she just kind of dove back into creating another album. She reached out to Jack Antonoff to begin working together, largely due to his work on Lord's Melodrama and Lana Del Rey's Norman fucking Rockwell. So the original plan was to create the entire album together. She would go to New York and they would start writing, start producing, make the record. However, the sessions began in March 2020, which we all know what happened in that month. So she had only written four songs: King, Free, Choreomania, and Back in Town by the time that COVID-19 hit and the world was forced into lockdown. Florence flew back to London with plans to continue working remotely. And real quick, I just want to know, I find it so interesting that one of the last songs that she wrote before the pandemic hit was Choreomania, not just because of like the dance fever of it all, which I'm going to get to in a second, but also because like the central lyric to that song is something's coming. And that song ends with like a crowd of Florences screaming, something's coming, something's coming. And whenever I listen to that song, it feels like a premonition. It feels like she's tapping into some kind of like alchemy or magic in the world, and she just had the sense that like something's coming that is disruptive and that's going to change everything. And I just find it kind of like I think of that song almost like a prophecy, and it always kind of like gives me chills that she wrote a song like that right before this completely world changing event. So, COVID hit, she goes back home. And the plan was to continue working remotely. However, it took her about 6 months before she could write again. She deeply struggled with writer's block, largely due to live performances being put on pause. And so she just really struggled with being inspired or even motivated to create and make music. When she returned to working on the album, she worked remotely with Jack, but she also recorded songs in London with Dave Bailey of Glass Animals. So the album is largely split between the two of them. You could kind of look at it as like the first half is Jack, the second half is Dave. It is very ironic that the album was interrupted by, written in, and largely about the pandemic, given that going into writing the album, the biggest inspiration Florence had was choreomania. Also known as dancing mania and dancing plague, choreomania was a social phenomenon which occurred in medieval Europe between the 14th and 17th centuries. It is characterized by large groups of people uncontrollably dancing. People of all ages were affected by the mania, and they would continue to dance erratically until they collapsed from exhaustion, got injured, or died. This was not an isolated event, and it is thought to have affected thousands across several centuries. There are several theories as to what motivated the dancing mania. Some include the power and influence of religious cults or poverty related stress. And it is still debated as to whether it was a real biological illness that people had or just a social phenomenon that was going on. And so obviously this led to the track choreomania, which is both about having a panic attack, but also this like plague of dancing. And it inspired the name of the record, Dance Fever. Besides the dancing plague, many other influences inspired the record. So Florence has listed dance music, folk music, Nick Cave, Lucinda Williams, Emmylou Harris, and 70s Iggy Pop as musical influences. Folk horror films such as The Wicker Man, The Witch, Midsummer, and Bram Stoker's Dracula were cinematic influences. And additionally, pre-Raphaelite art and Gothic fiction were also huge in just kind of creating the world and universe of Dance Fever. So the album itself, Dance Fever, has 14 tracks. It clocks in at 47 minutes and 12 seconds. The first single, King, was released on February 23rd, 2022. This was followed by Heaven is Here on March 7th. My Love just a few days later on March 10th, and then Free on April 20th. And then the album itself was released on May 13th, 2022. The photographer and director Autumn de Wilde photographed the album and directed all the music videos. The videos, keeping with the album's themes and imagery, very, very heavily feature dance, specifically like modern interpretive dance. Florence has referred to the album as a careful what you wish for fairy tale. In addition to discussions of mental health, romantic relationships, and Florence's struggles with addiction, the primary conflict of the record, which I think is so fascinating, is Florence's relationship with her own art and performance. So in this record, being an artist is both something that causes Florence intense pain, and it is also something that fulfills her like nothing else in the world. And this idea of it being like a cautionary tale of like you have this gift that you absolutely love, but it causes you to go to the darkest, deepest places and inflicts the most hurt on you, I just think is so compelling. And this primary conflict is introduced in the opening lines of the first song and first single, King. We argue in the kitchen about whether to have children, about the world ending and the scale of my ambition and how much is art really worth. The very thing you're best at is the thing that hurts the most. I think that line could be like the thesis statement of the entire album. So the record was released to critical acclaim. It has an 84 on Metacritic, which is the highest score for any album by the band. Critics praised Welch's songwriting and vocals, as well as the musical direction of the album as a whole. And King was nominated for Best Alternative Music Performance at the 65th Grammy Awards. So that's what I have, kind of as an introduction to the world of Dance Fever. I think there's so much to talk about with this record. I think it is very dense thematically. And I'm really excited to hear what Maria has to say about this record because I think this was the first time that she's listened to it in full. And then
Hmm.
Drew and I have been talking about this album since it came out because Drew was there with me when the album was getting released. And so I know a lot of what he thinks, but I'm also excited to hear him talk about it to see if like anything's changed, you know, if his thoughts have evolved. But I think I'm going to actually start with Drew. So let's like somebody who's listened to the album a bunch and is returning to it after, you know, being a fan of the record. Give us your dance fever thoughts. So you
Yeah.
are well, first of all, do you have the fever? Are you getting a
Oh,
fever?
I have it. I've had
You have
it
it?
and it's not going away.
It's not going, it's incurable.
Correct.
Terminal illness,
Um,
dance fever.
right. Yeah, I've loved Florence, like I remember like my first memory of listening to her is actually kind of sad because um it was so how I got exposed to her music was because they did Dog Days Are Over on Glee and then
Mm.
I like freaked out because it was like before that song had like really popped off in the way that it did and then I was hooked. And then I remember I bought the Lungs album shortly after that at Hollister because you know at Hollister at the register they would have like the Like
Oh,
at
I
the
didn't
time
know
they were
that.
indie CDs, but they would
I didn't
sell
know that
them
they
at
sold
the
music.
register. Yeah, and I was like, I love that album cover. And then I realized,
That
oh my
okay,
gosh.
yes, that album cover is like one of the best album covers of all time.
Yeah. And so I
It's
was like,
like
oh.
crazy.
And so I was there for I was there for the rest of her. I think I took a little break during like I wasn't as present at the How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful album cycle. Just because I just don't think I was like in the know for it. But then I really got into her again the summer of 2018. I was working like a summer job before college, and it was right when High as Hope came out. Uh, and I literally probably listened to that album like 400 times. Like when that's the only thing I would listen to going to and from work in my car like all the time. I was so obsessed with it. Um, yeah, so it was everything. So I was really anticipating Dance Fever. Um, so I was really excited for this. And I don't remember, and I'm sure Levi does. Did King kind of come out of nowhere?
So like she had been the other thing, so the background for my Zoom call right now is all the songs as like tarot cards. And so that was something that she did that I thought was really cool. She like created a card for every single song. And with King, it was kind of teased because she started sending them to people. So she like sent them to fans. And so she had like not really announced anything herself, but she had been sending all these like these cards that just said King and had an image of her on them. And then the song was announced and then released very, very shortly. So like there wasn't a lot of huge buildup. It was just kind of like a if you know, you know type of a thing.
Okay. Yeah,
Have
because
you
I oh sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask, have you guys ever been the recipients of any like promotional material like that before?
No, because artists think I should kill myself. Nobody wants to send me anything.
Like are we influencers that like get PR? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, because like this wasn't to influencers. This was like to fans.
Oh, okay, okay. No,
No, I have
no.
never. Have you, Maria?
Yes, actually. So there's a band that's called Joywave that I really like and have listened to since like middle school probably. I haven't been like very up to date on what they've been doing lately, but for one of their lead singles, like maybe a year or so before COVID happened, they sent me one of those like flex vinyls where it's just on like a sheet of plastic, and it was like their new single, but on one of those like flex vinyls.
Oh my God.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Maria's like, so I've had that, but just making sure that none of you guys have.
Yeah. So
well, I was
Maria just asked a
curious.
question so she could tell a really cool story about herself.
No, no, I mean, yes, it's a cool story, but I was curious if you guys, because it's like I feel like that's kind of rare, and I was
Yeah. No,
really
it's
Yeah.
so
surprised.
No,
cool.
that's so
It's
cool.
that's really cool that that happened.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
okay,
but yeah,
continue. Sorry.
for me, it kind of came out of nowhere that she was back. But when King came out, like, I was there. Like,
Oh, we were gagging.
we were gagging. Like,
We were
I think I
gagging.
listened to it like 500 times. Um, yeah. And I was also gagged. Um, I guess, like, I'm trying to think, like, there's not been a Florence album in this way that it has this kind of concept behind it. I'm trying to think, would you say that there's like another one that's conceptual in this same way or
No, because like the first two. Well, I'll get into a little bit more of my thoughts,
okay,
but
yeah,
no,
yeah.
I think this is like the most.
I was
Yeah.
here for it because I think this was kind of the time where everyone who had followed her was kind of leaning into her personality and her kind of like mania in a way, how she's kind of has that like kind of like Lord-esque kind of crazy personality where we like don't really know what she's thinking all the time, which is so fun. But I love that at the same time as we were leaning into it, she's like, I'm gonna make an album called Dance Fever about like people like literally dancing themselves to death. Um, so yeah, I was here for it. And yeah, when it came out, I was like dying. It was insanely good. Um, yeah, I mean, I think the concept to me is what makes this one stand out so much more than her other albums. Um, yeah, I mean, like, there's literally a song called Choreomania on it, and there's like a spoken word intro. Like, I think that's all you like really have to like,
And
that's all you have to say.
there's like a few spoken word moments on it,
Yeah,
which I think is like
yeah,
I love the moment on Heaven is Here when she goes, and every song I wrote became an escape rope tied around my neck to pull me up to heaven. It's so gag.
yeah. It's so good. And I also think like, um, I don't know because obviously we're talking about this in retrospect because this came out 3 years ago, but I don't think you can express how gagged Levi and I were that she was working with Jack.
There's no words to express the gaggery because okay, actually if we're gonna talk about history, I can tell you our junior year, so which was like 2020 to 2021. I don't know if it was 2020 or 2021. I do remember though, Drew and I would always have long ass late night FaceTimes, and I was in my apartment in my room sitting at my desk. I was FaceTiming on the computer, talking to Drew, and we literally had a conversation about, oh my God, what would happen if Florence worked with Jack Antonoff?
Yes.
And I remember saying, I can hear exactly the way that it would sound, and that sound is exactly Dance Fever. Like
Yeah.
we literally, okay,
Nostradamus.
Drew, why do we do this? But it's always an accident, but we
It's
always
always an
manifest what we
accident, and then when
want.
we try to manifest things, it
It
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work. But like
No,
we're
but
the
I
reason
mean
why
that's like
folklore exists, we're the reason why Evermore exists, we're the reason why
yeah.
this album exists. Like everything can be traced back to us in a way.
Yeah. So I mean that was I think like the craziest thing ever. Like I don't think that we could like put that into words like how insane it was that they were working together. But yeah, I just love so much of this and I'll get into more of like my, pinpoints when we get to the top 3 in the me, but it also feels like such a summer album to me in a way. Like I love how like the weather started to get a little warmer and now we're like getting into dance fever. Maybe
Hmm.
it's because like my memories associated with it are in the summer because it came out in May, but this feels like such a summer album, like like late spring, early summer, which I feel like hopefully we can get into in the next few weeks and then we can really soar. But yeah, I think my highlights also is like the production. I feel like she hasn't done something like this before either. There's almost like an alternative disco vibe in a way. Like I'm thinking of like My Love and like Choreomania, obviously. And I don't know, there feels like it's such a different sound for her that she's never done before. And I feel like a lot of her albums, like especially like honestly, like all of the other ones that I've listened to in depth, I feel like have that similar Florence kind of like thing that she always does in her production, but this one it feels like it can kind of like stand alone and it might just be because of the concept of it, but it feels like something very different for her. But like still obviously you get like anything that you want out of a Florence and the Machine album, you get out of it. And also I think like you can tell also in the length of it, like in a lot of her albums, I don't think she does a lot of like the 1 minute kind of like interludes that
Mm-mm.
she
No, this
does.
is the first time that she really did that.
Yeah, which is really cool. So yeah, I think that's really awesome. And she's also all the other albums that she has are pretty short, right? Like they're only like 10 to
Yeah,
11 songs, right?
I think that let me talk for a
Like I
little
know
bit.
High
Let me
as Hope is.
confirm.
Yeah. I know like High as Hope is like that and How Big How Blue I think is pretty short as well. So the last two that came before were like that. So it was kind of nice to get like a
Okay, so
longer.
Highest Hope has 10 songs on the standard. How Big, How Blue has 11 songs on the standard. Ceremonials has 12 songs on the standard. And then Lungs has 13 songs on the standard. So this is
Yeah,
the
so it's
longest
like
album that she's ever
definitely the
done.
longest one. Yeah. So yeah, I was just I love it. I love all of it. I'll get into like the only other things that I like wasn't completely into. But yeah, I love Florence. And I love like I don't know, I just love how this album kind of got me back into her too. Um which is really cool because I was talking about how it's separate. I find it very separate from her other albums in the fact that it's like so conceptual. And the other albums you kind of, especially High as Hope, the one that I really got into her again, it felt very like personal. Like I was kind of talking about this with Levi. It felt like almost like all of the songs were kind of diary entries, like very poetic journal entries from her. This kind of has that, but it's so rooted in the concept. Um, that I just and I think they both work really, really well. It's just so nice to get both of it from her. She's so versatile as like a songwriter and yeah, yeah, obsessed with Dance Fever.
Amazing. Amazing. A fellow dance fever patient. K Maria, as a newbie to the illness, I have to ask you, if you check your temperature, what is it telling you?
Um, I have a sore throat. I'm starting to get sick.
And what are your symptoms?
Um, Tapping my feet a little bit, snapping, bobbing my head a little bit.
I think you're coming down with the case.
Are you
It's
coming down with it?
something might be, you know, on the
Something's
horizon
coming.
for me. Something's
Do
Something's
coming.
you
coming.
just keep spinning and dance yourself to death?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
I'm getting it.
Is that
I'm
all?
getting it. I have no other thought. I have nothing else to contribute, imagine. Okay, well, I'll get into my thoughts
Yeah,
then.
please.
So for me, I've like this is the first Florence album I've ever listened to front to back. I'm pretty unfamiliar with mostly her entire catalog. Like I've never really intentionally listened to her aside from like Dog Days Are Over and I can't think of anything else. So I feel like I'm very novice to her whole world and aesthetic and lore and all of it, which I know you guys are very familiar with. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I kind of created some um expectations for this that not that like I was not correct, but like I think this it was more of a variety tonally than I was expecting. I was kind of expecting the entire thing to feel very folk inspired, especially with like the album art and all like the supplementary stuff and the way everyone as of late is like Florence is the female hosier. Like we were kind of talking about that before we started recording, but like I feel like since that has been so like such a strong narrative online lately that I kind of forgot that like she doesn't really operate in this like super folksy, earthy kind of vibe like all the time. Like that's like not really her style initially as I think. I mean like Dog Days Are Over isn't like okay, like woodland fairy creature, like the way that
See,
everyone's like woodland fairy creature.
I think they're like different parts of the forest. I think she's like with the witches and with like the
Sure.
werewolves and like he's more like woodland nymph or like Hosier's like Mr. Tumnus. He's like the Mr. Tumnus of music. He's like a faun. And and Florence has something darker going on. She's
She's the
casting
White Witch.
spells. She's to the White Witch. That's it. That's it. There we go. And
That's
Taylor's
it.
Aslan. That's it.
So yes, so that makes sense. That makes complete sense. So I mean, all of that to say, I feel like with those except or I mean, excuse me, with those like with what I thought was going to happen, like having all of that in mind, some of the more like contemporary moments on the album felt a little bit out of place to me. Like it was all still great, but I was just like, I don't really understand why this sound is here. Because like the album cover is like her and with some twigs and it's all very like woodsy witchy. And I'm like, oh, this is like kind of disco-y. I mean, like I know the album's called Dance Fever. So all of it felt a little bit contradictory to me, just with like what I had conjured up in my own head about what I was to expect. So that's like just some of my flavor that I have to add to it. I think the vocal performance is so cool. I mean, she just has such a unique voice, but in particular, I really enjoyed all of the moments where she kind of employed like the her vocal fry to make everything like really dramatic and gritty. So like I thought that was super cool because not a lot of people do that. Or like not I feel like there's a lot of music that people write nowadays that like where you would even like think to use that or it would even be appropriate to like have some sort of like deep scary vocal fry moments. So I thought it was so cool that that was part of it. I also loved the interludes so much and they only show up like halfway and then towards the end of the album. And then I'm like, man, I would have loved if this was like kind of a compilation-y storyline album in that kind of way where it's like sprinkled with interludes all throughout. I would have been so there for that. But I think the like listening to the lyrics and actually sitting and reading through them was so cool for this. But for me, I feel like my favorite lyrics were in Girls Against God. Like the one for me that was like, whoa, like that's the lyric for me on this whole album was if they ever let me out, I'm gonna really let it out. Like I
I
was living
love
for
that.
that.
I love that song.
I was living for that so hard. So and I feel like too, the kind of like the middle of the album was like where I really like got on board because I feel like it starts like a little bit more well, I don't know. I feel like the middle of the album gets like a little bit darker tonally, and that's where I just thought like all of like this really cool sounding stuff was happening. Like, um, yeah, like I think all of my favorite tracks are like kind of right in the middle. That's why I like really, really latched onto it. Um, so and I kind of feel like I had a little bit of a hard time with like the beginning, like the first third and the last third, but the middle of it I loved like so much. So. So I don't know. I guess I kind of feel like a little bit hot and cold on this, to be honest. But I really enjoyed listening to it, and it definitely makes me want to go back and just like kind of like find my way through some of her other music. Because obviously I know you guys are huge fans and have some highlights that you definitely want me to listen to, and I know I need to. So I definitely want to do my homework just to kind of understand what's going on here. But yeah, it's just interesting because I know we before we started to Levi, like you were kind of like, oh well, like kind of surprised, like you haven't really listened to her at all in the first place up until this point because like she's kind of in the same sphere of like other artists that you like. And honestly, I don't even have a good answer as to why I've like never picked up her music before. Like I just never
You
did.
just so is it just you because you hate people with the last name Welch? Is that why?
The girl,
Well,
no comment.
also, I think Dance Fever is probably the least Maria Bait
I would
Florence album.
also I would also agree with that. And
Yeah.
also when you give your favorite songs, I can like tell you places to go. Like I can like
Yeah.
Sure.
recommend other songs that I think you'd really latch on to.
She would be
Um
such a How Big, How Blue.
yeah, so my favorite Florence album is How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. And like I think if you want to delve into a project as a whole next, that would be the one I would recommend for you. Um it has like that is like her like 70s rock album.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's her third album and it came after Lungs and Ceremonials, which very much established that like gothic, mythological, fairy tale, witchy like vibe that you kind of think of when you think of Florence. And How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful was like her first, I think, like real person album. It's primarily a
Oh.
breakup album. And it's also kind of like the album that she like starts to get serious about her sobriety. And it is a lot more grounded and real. And that's not saying that like the kind of grand drama that you love of Florence that I think makes her so singular is missing because it's definitely there. But there is
Hmm.
this like raw edge to that whole record that I think you'd really respond to. And also just like as somebody who I know you love rock music, that is her rockiest album.
Oh,
And
cool.
I think like I've said this before, maybe not on the podcast, but that album has my favorite track listing of any album of all time. I think the
Oh.
sequencing on that album, it's like one album that I can think of that I don't even think a case could be made for any song to be in any other order. I think every song is so perfectly placed. So I think if you want to listen to a album as a whole, that would be the one that I would recommend for you.
Oh, cool. Yeah. No, that definitely sounds up my alley with you describing it.
And it
Um,
also has my favorite Florence and the Machine song of all time, which is Saint Jude. That's my favorite Florence and the Machine song of all time. I think, wait, Drew, I think that Maria would gag for Mother.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If you will know if you're gonna like the album if you just listen to Mother first. But
If you listen to
honestly,
Mother,
if you
but
listen
no,
to the whole
but
thing,
you actually shouldn't listen to Mother first because the gag of Mother, because Mother's the closing song, and you actually can't listen to Mother first. You actually
Okay.
can't
I
because
but I
like
know for a fact Maria would love Mother.
also, do you know what I feel like Maria would love? What kind of man?
Yes.
Like that
Ship to
guitar
wreck.
shit. Yeah, Maria, you just got to listen to it.
Yeah. Well, we'll do an art episode about it, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I was actually that to me is like that is a summer album. So I was planning on
Yeah,
doing it. I'm happy that we're doing Dance Fever now. Um, I think it kind of is coming at the perfect time because I agree with Drew. To me, Dance Fever is very like spring turning into summer. But How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful is
it is
summer.
summer.
It is summer,
Ooh,
mama.
I'm excited.
So we'll be doing that. Maybe my albums will be like that and then American Life. So maybe How Big, How Blue will be coming at the end of June.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
yeah.
Um, well, I think like one other thing I wanted to add, like, have either of you guys read The Secret History by Donna Tartt?
Yes, I love The Secret History.
So I was thinking about The Secret History a lot when I was listening to this,
That
actually.
like kind of like dark academia.
Yeah. Yeah, and like the way, because it's like, all the characters have like the Dionysian dance
Yes.
party like situation.
That is so Dance Fever.
I was thinking a lot about it when I was listening to this. So,
Girl, we got to turn into book girlies because fucking The Secret History.
girl, The Secret History. Drew, that's the book I was reading when we went to Toronto.
The Secret
If you
Gaggery,
The
more
Secret
like it.
Gaggery was what I was reading, if you remember when we went on that trip and I brought my book.
The Secret
Um,
History is like from literally the first sentence of that book is okay, so I'm gagging. Okay, this is
oh,
me gagging.
gagging. It's really good. It's so good.
I love that
Um,
book.
so yeah, I was thinking about it, but I think that's the last thing I had to say. I just wanted to draw that connection.
Sure.
Well, thanks so much. I'm happy that you were really honest and kind of, talked about what's was working, what wasn't working for you. And I think kind of like the first point that I want to make, getting into my thoughts, beyond just like, well, let me say like my relationship with Florence. She's been one of my favorite artists forever. And it's funny, I feel like with so many other artists, I can like pinpoint like the first time I was exposed to them. I can't think of like a specific moment with Florence. I want to say like it was probably, I'm sure Dog Days Are Over. Um, and it was somewhere around like 2010, 2011 because I think I became a big fan when it would have been 2011 because I think I became a big fan when both Lungs and Ceremonials were out because I do remember buying both those albums at Best Buy. I remember buying, well, I bought Lungs at Best Buy. Okay, actually, this is the story. I bought Lungs at Best Buy in Boise with my parents. We were there, I want to say around like Thanksgiving. And then we drove home and I bought Ceremonials when I got home on iTunes. And so I was kind of consuming those albums at the same time. And I've always been like, I've always loved fairy tales and like mythology and like witches. I mean, anybody who knows me knows that like I love mermaids and mermaids are like my favorite thing. Like that kind of like mythological creature, magic, like fairy tale realm is always something I've really gravitated to. I love like movies, books, plays, anything in that range. And like Florence to me is really like the musical artist that like defines that kind of vibe. And definitely like she has touch points that came before. Like, I definitely think that like you don't get Florence without like Kate Bush, but she's also like so much like she's so herself also. Like she definitely has like the Kate Bush influences, whatever that kind of like art pop history that she goes into, but she's so singular to me and like she creates a kind of atmosphere that nobody else really can. And I think so much of it comes down to a her songwriting and lyrics and the music that she like builds is just so otherworldly. But then that voice is like she sounds like a Valkyrie to me. Like it's the kind of voice that like sailors I think would like get lost at sea for. Like it just sounds like there's no way that you can be human. Like she
Yeah.
sounds like she is like a goddess or something. And the fact that like she marries that otherworldly voice with music that truly feels magical in every sense of that word is just so special to me, and it always kind of like hit a sweet spot that no other musical artist really ever does. Because I can't really think of a lot of other artists that kind of exist in this like fairy tale like world that she does. So I've always been so drawn to her in that sense. And I've loved her since I was like 10, 11. And it's just like every single album, I just get deeper and deeper and deeper. And yeah, she's been like one of my stands for forever. Very, oh, actually, okay, I was thinking about this today. So in my holy trinity of artists, Tay, Madonna, Florence, I would say Madonna is the father because everything came from her because she's like the OG. Taylor's Jesus, obviously, she's the son, and Florence is so the Holy Spirit. Florence is such a Holy Ghost to me. She's just so like ephemeral. Like she literally is a Holy Ghost. So that's me, my blasphemy for the day.
That's so
But
accurate.
isn't it so accurate? No, I kind of thought I gagged. I
Like
kind of
that's
thought I ate with
like
that.
you just gagged us with that. You gagged
No,
the
like I
world
literally
with
did.
that.
I literally did. Sorry.
I also think like someone someone famous could say like, yeah, Florence Welch has like the greatest voice of all time, and I'd be like, yeah, you're probably right. Like,
She's
I
my
wouldn't
answer
argue
for
that.
she's my answer for my favorite vocalist of all time. I think she has like because not just like her tone is so unique, but her technique is also incredible. And her technique is only improved over time. Like I think like the era of Florence that we live in now, like she's at like her vocally her healthiest and the control that she had, like her voice sounds like this uncontrollable force of nature, but she
Yeah,
has and wields such control over it. I mean, the amount of times that she just like so quickly jumps between this powerful bellowing belt and then this like flute like bird like falsetto is just kind of like crazy in the way that she can just bounce around. Also, the riffs that she does are crazy. Her riffs
crazy.
are so hard to replicate. And I would know because I've been singing along in the car and in the shower. And girl, I do not sound like Florence. Let's just say that. So that's kind of my history with Florence. But to kind of respond to Maria real quick is I think it's really interesting that some of this album was baffling for you because I was thinking of a way to compare it with your world. And to me, I think that this album serves a very similar function to Florence in her career that Mayhem does to Gaga in her career. Because I think about Mayhem as kind of like a snapshot. It's Mayhem is both a step forward for Gaga, but it's also kind of like all the things that she does really well in one record. Because you get that
hmm
like the dark pop of like the early Gaga. There's songs on Mayhem that I'm like, oh my God, like this could be on Born This Way. Oh my God, this could be on Joanne. You even have like some of like the I feel like especially like a song like Abracadabra, it's obviously like a Fame Monster song, but then you have like the house piano in the background that is like, okay, that's like So Chromatica. And then there's
Right.
like Blade of Grass could have been on Stars Born. Like there's songs that like I hear every single Gaga on Mayhem. And for me, Dance Fever is the only Florence the Machine album that has every single Florence. Because kind of like I was talking about, her first two albums very much established this like magical witch character. And then How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful was kind of like the real world. And it was this rock, dramatic 70s kind of breakup album thing. And Highest Hope, which is Drew's fave, Highest Hope has like a lightness to it and an airiness to it, but it's also her sparsest by far. It's her most acoustic. Those songs I feel like are the most breathable. They have by far the simplest production. And the lyrics on Highest Hope are like by far the most intimate that she'd ever done at that point. Startlingly intimate. I mean, we're worlds away from like the Florence who was like running with werewolves and drinking blood and being like caught. There's literally a song in Ceremonials where she like it's about Virginia Woolf's suicide. Like we are worlds away from that Florence. And what I think makes Dance Fever, one of the things that makes Dance Fever so special to me as a longtime Florence fan who's been so invested in her is that like this is the album where we see everything. Like this is the album that she kind of returns to that early Florence character of like this like fairy tale like world, this fantasy world. She's a gothic heroine, which is so in touch with like the lungs and the ceremonials, but it's after having withered through the battles of How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful, and after having really stripped back and become this like raw, vulnerable artist with highest hope. And so I think you see moments of that of every album of her career on Dance Fever. So like My Love was one that you kind of pointed out as being a little jarring to you. That song to me is a ceremonial song. Is a ceremonial song that has kind of like the emotional maturity that she's gained on later projects. And then there's songs that like, oh, like this has that kind of like free-spirited quality and whimsy of Lungs. And then like a song like Cassandra to me is so How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful. And then like I think of like a song like The Bomb, and like that to me could be On High as Hope. And so I think that this might be like a difficult album to approach without context, because I think that, all these like different sounds have been like big moments in her career that like fans have gotten to kind of like grapple with on their own, because like the transition from ceremonials to How Big, How Blue, How Beautiful was a huge thing, and then from How Big, How Blue, the really like grounded strip back moment of Highest Hope, like those were like big transitions. And so I think that as somebody who doesn't have that context, I can imagine that like it would maybe be a little confusing. But I think that if you listen to the rest of the records and like if you see, oh, like this is like where that song is like pulling influence from, I think that you would maybe get like a lot more appreciation for it and just kind of like understanding. And that's not to say that she's not doing new things on this record, because I do think she is. Like I can't think of a Florence the Machine song that sounds like Free. Like Free to me is like pretty singular in her discography. There's like a twang of like Morning Elvis that like I don't really think she's done before, which is kind of like what Drew is talking about. There's not really like there's she's doing stuff that she's never done before in any other album. But to me, this album is really like every single facet of her on one record. And I would love for you to listen to this record again, Maria, once you've kind of like become more familiar with her discography. And I think that you might find that like your relationship with maybe moments that like didn't work for you or like were maybe a bit baffling, you might have a changed perspective, I think, maybe just by
Yeah.
hearing the rest of the discography.
Yeah.
So
No, absolutely. I definitely appreciate the contextualization of everything because like there isn't anything on this where I'm like, oh, like if I heard this out of nowhere, like it just like wouldn't work for me and I don't like it. It's just like I think I was expecting something completely different from the project as a whole. Like I thought like what the middle of the album is was gonna be the whole thing. So
yeah,
when like that sound was only sandwiched in between everything, I was like, oh. But no, that completely makes sense. And yeah, I definitely appreciate just kind of like the backstory of it all. So yeah, I would definitely love to revisit this once I kind of go through all of the eras because I know, I mean, like we'll eventually talk about them all, I'm sure. But yeah, would definitely love to.
we absolutely will.
Yeah,
So yeah, it just that's kind of like the mayhem comparison to me was like the thing that like I really latched onto this week when I was thinking about like the way that I wanted to describe this kind of
yeah,
phenomenon. Yeah, just kind of getting into the album as a whole. I would say that this is probably my second favorite Florence the Machine album. I think that vocally she's just on a complete other level here. She sounds so good. Like she just sounds otherworldly. And I think kind of what Maria was talking about, her songwriting is just incredible. Because again, it's like such a synthesis of like the divine and then the real. I mean, she even has that lyric on Daffodil, uh, like be talking about being both mythical and real. Like that to me is what Dance Fever is. It's kind of like both of those extremes existing. Uh, Drew really hammering home like the concept of this record. I love that he did that because that is such a compelling part of what this album is. This album is really like a story, and it really is like a cautionary tale. And I think that is so fascinating. Like, I can't really think of another album that I would call like a cautionary tale. And I, as somebody who is creative and is an artist, I definitely feel very similar ways. Like I'm sure most people who listen to this podcast know this, but like I'm an actor, and so many of the roles and kind of characters that really inspire me are very emotional ones. And I love going to those really dark, vulnerable places as an actor. That's like where I really feel the most fulfilled. But it also takes a toll on you because, if you're acting, I think those emotions are real. The circumstances around you are imaginary, but good acting is real emotion and it feels real to the audience because it's real to the actor. And so, I've been in shows before where I've loved the character so much, but it's also not been very good for me because I come home and I'm really, really sad and I'm in a dark place and it's hard for me to get out of it. And I can really relate to kind of the struggle that she talks about in this record of needing to go to those horrible dark places. Like I love on King when she goes, I need my golden crown of sorrow, my bloody sword to swing. I need to go to war to find material to sing. Like she has to go to these dark places. She has to inflict pain on herself in order to create the art that drives her and fills her, but it also is kind of like killing her at the same time. And I love that like she never really finds release or like there's like no like cure by the end of the record. Because the record ends on Morning Elvis, which is a song about this moment on the ceremonials tour when she was supposed to tour Graceland, the Elvis property, and she was too fucked up. She stayed out partying and she was too fucked up to get to Graceland. But she's this mess of a human being, but then she gets on the stage and that's where she's saved. That's where she finds salvation. And it's like acknowledging that tension and like acknowledging the fact that like there's no cure to that tension to me is just so compelling. I think the production of this album is beautiful. I think it's so textured. I think there's such like a rich atmosphere to these songs. That's something that I think specifically Jack does so well as a producer. Like he just creates these songs that feel so tactile to me. Like I can just like feel how these feels, feel how all of these songs like feel. There's the way that like the guitars are strummed, the way that like the synths kind of swirl in out of nowhere, the way that like the orchestra kind of comes in. Um, there's just like such a physical, tangible quality to these songs that I think is super compelling. Um, and lyrically, like she's just, I think, kind of in a league of her own. I think she's just one of like the great lyricists. And honestly, I don't think she's talked enough about as a songwriter because she has such an incredible voice and such a unique voice that I think it overshadows how wonderful of a songwriter she is. But she is like, I mean, she's like, to me, she's like up there with Taylor. Like, I think like I don't think she's talked enough about as like one of the best songwriters working today, but I absolutely think that she is. I love that you pointed out Girls Against God as a lyrical highlight for you, Maria, because I agree with you completely. I love so many lyrics on that album on that song. I love so many lyrics on like Cassandra is a lyrical standout for me. I love like the opening verse of My Love. Like I was always able to write my way out. The song always made sense to me. And like there's nothing to describe except the moon. Uh, it's just I just think she's such an amazing writer. And then um I'm gonna get a little real for a second. So please just stick around with me. This album has a really special place in my heart. And I might ooh, I'm getting a little emotional. So I have no shame about this, and I don't think I should have any shame about this. And I think it's really important to be, as long as you're, safe and okay with it. I think it's really important to be vulnerable about important stuff. And so this album came out when I was going through the darkest period of my life. I was my senior year. I was in the middle of a catastrophic mental health crisis, um, and I was in the most emotional turmoil I could imagine anybody going through. Um, I was not happy, to put things very lightly. And we're recording this on April 7th. And on April 6th, yesterday was the third anniversary of me checking myself into a inpatient care uh, mental hospital. Um, and I was there for 7 days. And this was a time in my life where I just felt so raw. Uh, I felt so isolated. I felt so unhappy. I felt so alone. I felt very scared. And this album was really a lifeline for me. It was somebody who I've loved, an artist that I've looked up to and been inspired by and respected and just cherished for so long, writing songs coming from a very different place, but touching on the exact same feelings um, that I was experiencing. So, like Girls Against God, she's obviously singing about being in the pandemic and feeling alone and isolated. But when I listen to that song and I hear that lyric, and if they ever let me out, I'm going to really let it out. I think about being alone in the hospital. I think about being really scared in my room, wondering, are they going to let me out today? Are they going to let me out tomorrow? When am I going to get to go home? When am I going to get to be with the people I love again? Um, Morning Elvis to me is a very personal song. Uh, it makes me just think of many like panic attacks and breakdowns from that time and how I found salvation in, you know, the things that inspire me, like art and music and writing and acting and my friends. This, and then the big one, the kicker, Drew knows this, is Free came out on it came out like just a few days after I left the mental hospital. And there literally is a lyric on Free that goes, because it's all in my head and I'm too sensitive, they said. I said, okay, but let's discuss this at the hospital. And when I heard that lyric for the first time, I was like, this whore is plagiarizing my life. I gotta send my lawyers to England because what the fuck? Um, and I listened to that song, and that song is such a special place in my heart because it's like I still struggle with my mental health. I've worked so hard on my mental health the last few years, and I've kicked my ass in therapy, and I've taken my health so seriously, and I'm so proud of all the work that I've done. And I'm, very happy to say that I'm at the healthiest and happiest place in my life that I ever have been. But it is a daily struggle for me, and it always is going to be. And I work so hard on it. And there are days where, because it picks me up and it puts me down, it chews me up and it spits me out. And then there are moments of absolute transcendence. And dancing for me is one of those. When I'm with my two best friends, Maria and Drew, and when we're at Scarlet and when we're dancing and singing at the top of my lungs, like for a moment I am free, and all like the worries and the turmoils that I've, you know, felt in my life disappear, and like I'm free. And this album is just really special and important to me. And it kind of, I didn't even think about it at first that we were doing it, you know, during the anniversary of a very kind of emotional time for me. And I was really conflicted with whether I wanted to share it. But first of all, I just want to say that I'm always going to be very upfront in talking about what I went through because I know that if I knew somebody who had talked about going to the hospital and getting help, I would have gotten help a lot sooner and things wouldn't have gotten as bad as they became. And so, first, anybody who's listening to this, who's going through something, I just want to say that uh, it might be cliche, but you really aren't alone. Even if you think that you're alone, you're not the only person who's ever felt that way. And it's really hard to see it sometimes, but there is really light at the end of the tunnel if you put in the work and if you stick around. And I really hope that you do. Um, and then, second of all, like it just felt so beautiful to kind of be able to like express my love for this record that really got me through such a horrible moment, and get to talk about it, especially with Drew, who was one of the people that really got me through that moment as well. And it was such a true, genuine friend when I needed one.
Oh,
Um,
love you, Levi.
I love you too, girl. So, yeah, I just wanted to say that, because I just think
We're
it's
so proud of you. We love
thanks,
you.
girl. I
Girl,
love
we
you
love you
too.
so much. Thank you so
I
much for
love you.
sharing too. I mean,
Yeah, that was so
that's so
vulnerable of you.
yeah.
Like, oh.
You had me crying there.
Well, girl,
You
I was
literally
like, I
did.
was like waiting for it. I was like, I don't know if he's gonna go there. He definitely doesn't need to go there, but if he wants to go there, he can go there. And then I was like, oh, he's going there.
It just
But
felt
no,
like I don't. It
it's so right. It's so, you said it in the most perfect way. And
And it's
yeah.
just, I just think that like this album just, it really does just hold such a special place in my heart because it's kind of a reminder of like both the pain that I went through, but also like all the healing that I've done. And it's, I just think it's a special piece of art. And I'm just really happy to have been able to talk about it with you guys. And yeah, hopefully more people will listen to it. So that's all that I have.
Yeah, if you weren't gonna listen to Dance Fever, you definitely should now.
Yeah. Yeah, literally, if you don't, you're saying, fuck you, Levi. Fuck you. Go back to the hospital, ho.
No, I mean, I know we don't have to like say this in a public platform, but like Maria definitely, if we weren't gonna say it on the podcast, we definitely had to talk about how shook it was to like
The
hear
free.
Free the first time, and then after that had happened, I was
I
like,
can tell you
oh
where I
my
was. I
God.
was sitting in Damon. I was sitting at the Damon chairs for the first time listening to that song. You know, like the chairs that were right under on the first floor that were right under the stairs up to the second floor. There are those
Yeah.
like chairs that were like right there. I
Yes.
was sitting in those chairs and I literally was like, this ginger hoe. What what the actual fuck? Like what? Are you kidding me? Right now?
Oh my
It
gosh.
really was. Drew, have we ever been as shook at something? I
I
can't,
was I was trying to think. I was like, I don't think so.
like, in terms of, like, I can't believe, like, she just said that. And, like, given everything that's happened, um, it was kind of crazy.
Yeah, that's something else.
Yeah. Well, and it was like it came out as a single, like literally, like I think was it like a week after that
Yeah,
it
because
all happened.
I came out of the hospital
Like,
on the I came out of the hospital on the 13th, and then it was released on the 20th.
like she was like, let's press the button on this one.
Oh, and if things couldn't get more real, 2 weeks after coming out of the mental hospital, I got COVID.
Right.
And then I was put back in lockdown. So then I was relating to the album on a whole nother level.
And then you were really crying in your cereal.
I was really crying on my cereal at midnight, girl.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank
So,
you again for sharing, Levi. That was
of
Yeah.
so
course.
beautiful of you to share.
Thanks, girl.
Love you.
Love you too.
We
Okay,
stand, we love, we worship.
we gonna get into the me's, into the Holy Trinities.
Well, yes.
Well,
Please.
yes. Okay, let's do me's first. Drew, what is your me on Dance
Okay,
Fever?
Your
my
least favorite
moi.
track.
Yeah, your least
Oh
favorite
yeah,
track. Thank you for
explaining to
educating
all,
the new viewers.
if you were
Contextualize.
new,
Can you imagine if this is someone's first?
if you were new, while we do promote mental health and well-being, this isn't specifically a mental health podcast. But we typically don't go this deep on the pod. But this is, I mean, Dance Fever is Dance
But when we
Fever.
do, it's
Dance Fever.
fierce.
Fierce.
Because guess what? Our inner saboteur is not
Like
winning.
like you can't be at the
No,
hospital. Florence released an album about being at the
Being in the
hospital. You
hospital,
can't.
you can't.
come on.
Okay, but my me is
Did you have a hard time with your me?
yes, because well, it was hard for me because I knew it had to have been the tracks are so strong, it had to have been one of the interludes for me. I just don't think the interludes are as strong. I mean, I think an interlude being an interlude, you don't get to flesh yourself out as much. Um, but I'm gonna have to go with Prayer Factory. That's my
Mm.
least favorite.
Maria just rolled her eyes. My
I know. I'm
God.
Ugh.
like,
Okay. Do we have a Prayer Factory shooter in the house?
okay, I guess.
We do, and it's me, but go on.
Are you
Oh
working
wow.
floors on the Prayer Factory?
I mean, it's not in my top three, but I'm living for it, like
Okay,
majorly.
okay.
So all the things that you ran from, you now hold as close to you as you can.
But yes.
Okay, well that's my me. I just don't think it when I look at all the interludes, it's the one that I think because even Restraint, I kind of like chuckle at it, to be honest. Like I think it's kind of I
It's
don't think it's meant to
campy.
be funny. It's just very camp and
It's
fun.
so campy.
And I think that sets it over Perfectory a little bit for me. So yeah.
Okay, Maria, what's your me?
Um, there aren't any, okay, so there aren't any tracks on this that I dislike, but I think this one just resonated with me a little bit the least. And I had already heard Morning Elvis before the album because I heard the Ethel Cain cover.
She's about to piss you off, bitch.
Is your me Morning Elvis?
No.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
No.
Well, then why did you say that?
Well, I was in the middle of a story, so I had already heard Morning
Oh my,
Elvis. So
Maria, Drew and I literally looked at each other like, is she literally about to do this right now?
she's like
Oh
Morning
my God.
Elvis.
Morning Elvis,
Restraint shits on Morning Elvis.
morning flop this.
so so I had already heard the song Morning Elvis because of the Ethel Cain feature with the live
Yeah.
version. So when I was listening to the album, I was like really excited to get to like the standard version so I could experience that too. And I think because of that, plus like the song resonated with me the least, I think that's why it's by me, but my me is going to be The Bomb. Drew's mad, I just know it. Drew's
Oh
Girl,
mad.
that's
Jesus.
crazy. You like Restraint more than The Bomb?
Yeah, you liking restraint more than the bomb. It's really crazy.
Well, it's also shook us when we listened to this because we'd obviously already decided that Levi was free before because it was a single. But then when we listened to the album, we were like, oh, the fact that I'm the bomb and you're Morning
Yeah,
Elvis is crazy.
Drew is so the bomb. Literally, when we listened to the album the first time, I was like, it is crazy how much the song is you.
Like Florence kind of she plagiarized Levi's life more on this, but like for the bomb, she was really
She needed a break from like the Levi plagiarism, so
yeah.
she
So she
she
just read our
dipped her
text.
quill in the Drew ink, and she was
Yeah,
like,
she just read
actually,
it. She got into your iCloud and just read our text. I was
that's what
like,
it was.
yeah,
My
All
God.
of Dance Fever's Levi senior year, except for the bomb, which is Drew's senior year.
that Levi had to deal with.
That resulted in me going to the mental hospital.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
That's crazy. Okay.
Well, do you know what's actually funny about that, Maria? I thought that you were gonna love that song. I thought that was gonna be one of your favorites.
I definitely didn't think it would be your favorite, but
I didn't, well, because like you love that kind of like folky, like I think that's like the folkiest moment on the album. Oh,
she doesn't
okay.
really have an explanation why she doesn't like it.
You do not fuck with the bomb.
no, it's not, I'm not like,
You have to not fuck with it to put it under restraint, girl.
That is so funny.
but like, I just, for like the interlude tracks though, I was like, they're so theatric and like so full of drama. That's like, that I was like really chewing on all that other stuff. So then when it got normal, a little bit more normal again, I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't
That's
know.
so funny. Well,
Well,
mine is restraint. Um,
I don't know,
and
girl.
it's not, it's kind of like just what Drew said. I just think like kind of automatically like an interlude is gonna be lower for me than a normal song just because it's not as fleshed out enough as much. Like there's just so much more song in like an actual full length thing, and there's just so many more moments and like opportunities for like me to get really like pulled into something. And so like, even like some songs that are like lower on the album for me on Dance Fever, there are moments that like I'm so drawn to and I'm so like pulled into and like I love. And like Restraint is just so short and like it's very cool. And I love like I mean it always makes me laugh. Like it is a very silly song. And like
It is
I
so
think
silly.
I think like the background vocals are very cool, but it's just so quick. There's just, there's no, it's like, yeah, girl, like you haven't learned restraint. Yes. Like it's like a tweet. It's not really like a song.
It's a tweet that's
Like
perfectly
I don't even know if
describes
it's
it.
120 characters. It can't. I don't even know if it's like 100 characters. So no shade to restraint. It just is restraint.
Yeah.
Okay. Now on a flip note, Drew, what is your Holy Trinity or your three favorite songs on the album?
Okay. So my number three was like really, really hard. There were like probably four or five songs that were just really close to getting into my three. Um, but I'm gonna go with the one that I think if you took it out, it would just be a completely different vibe and album for me. And that's Dream Girl Evil.
Hmm.
I love it. I think it's like the first song on the album for me when you when you really have Florence doing like her crazy girl element, like the rock kind of influence. I guess you do get kind of a lot of it in Choreomania, but I think Dream Girl Evil, she's doing something really different that we like have known to love her for. But
Hmm.
she's doing it in this new kind of way for Dance Fever. Um, yeah, and also just the way that she sounds in the intro of the song, like the first kind of few lines, I think is like a vocal highlight of the album for me.
See, for me, the vocal moment on that song is the second pre-chorus.
Oh yeah.
The "Am I your dream girl? Think of me in bed." It's so
Yeah.
good.
I mean the whole song is like a vocal standout. But that's gonna be my number three. My number two is The Bomb. Um
Maria, what do you have to say about that?
It's actually my number one.
You're like restraint outsold.
no, yeah, I think The
Restrained
Bomb is
Stadium Tour.
like it's like her wait, what'd you say?
I said Restraint Stadium Tour.
Wait, can that be an interlude at the Pop Girlies tour?
Yes.
Marie, and it changes every night. Every night, a different one of us goes, "I've never learned restraint."
Yes.
But anyway, The Bomb. Uh, absolutely love. It was definitely my number one when I first heard the album because I really connected to the song. But I just think she's doing something incredible with the lyrics of it. Um, and also like I don't think it's like the vocal highlight on the album at all, but I think kind of what Levi was talking about when he was saying how impressive it is for her to kind of do like this kind of subtle vocal moments. I think The Bomb is like a really great example of that. She's like kind of playing this like kind of melancholy, sad person that you don't get really in any of the other songs to me. Yeah, so and it comes at a really great spot too. But yeah, that's my number two. And then my number one is Free. Um it's it's probably like a top three Florence song for me. I think it's incredible. Um
Free.
like Like there, every line in the song is insanely poetic and wonderful, but then the way that she sings in the song is like she sings exactly like each lyric that is so great and so poetic. She sings it to express exactly what it is, which is like what she does so incredibly. Um, yeah, it's so good. And also it reminds me of Levi, of course, because she plagiarized his
She
life.
plagiarized my life. Yeah. Okay, Miss Maria, what's your holy trinity?
Okay. So my number three is Girls Against God.
Oh, so good.
Yes.
Yours. My number two is Cassandra.
I knew
Yep.
you were gonna be Cassandra Ho. I called it.
Yup. Yup.
Okay,
And
can I expose people? Drew did not get the Cassandra tea for a
I
really
did
long
not get the
time.
tea at first.
At
girl.
first, years,
I texted you like a week ago that I was getting it.
yeah, after years of the album being out.
Okay, I didn't put the bomb last.
What?
And I
Okay,
never put Cassandra last either.
Girl, why bring me
Drew,
into
that is
this?
not true. I think that you
I
ranked
never
Cassandra
put
last when the album came
Cassandra
out.
under Prayer Factory or Restraint.
I don't know. I might
You're being a
challenge.
little crazy.
Uh, Drew, do you know how many times I've had to like defend vehemently Cassandra to you?
Not that often. You didn't have
Oh,
to defend it.
okay. So
I
we're doing fan
recognized that it
fiction
was
now.
good.
Well, no.
Okay,
I mean, you
girl.
didn't say it was like a doo doo poo poo song,
Yeah,
but
I didn't.
well, Maria didn't say that the bomb was doo doo poo poo.
No,
I
she
didn't.
didn't.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
She just said restraint outsold.
At
She
the
said a
tour.
47-second spoken interlude just outsold.
No, she
Yeah.
sings. She goes, Huh, huh.
Get into it. Come on.
She's like saying it like it's truth.
It's my truth.
It's her truth social.
Oh God.
Like, it's my opinion.
Yeah, Trump loves restraint.
Girl, no, he doesn't. He's never learned restraint.
Let's move
That's
on.
why he loves it.
Okay,
So,
I'm
how
so
about my
excited to
number
know
one
what your
song
number
on the
one.
album?
I have no idea what your number one's gonna be, actually, kind
Really?
of.
I
I,
do.
I had an idea of what it was gonna be, but I don't know if I want to say what I think it's gonna be. Okay,
Do you
Drew,
want me
you
to say
predict
it?
you predict it, and then I'm gonna predict it. Drew, what do you think hers is gonna be?
I kind of think it's gonna be Heaven is Here.
Okay, my prediction was Daffodil.
Y'all, you're both wrong.
Was it
Oh,
Morning Elvis?
No.
Oh, okay,
King.
I'm done.
No, no,
It's
because you
Dream.
said the middle. Huh. You
Is
go.
it Dream Girl Evil?
Yes.
Oh, cunt. That's so
Yes.
good.
I was eating this one up. I liked it a lot.
It's amazing. Because I was texting, I should have said that because I was texting Levi about it. Like, because he was like, I don't know what Maria's top is going to be. And I was like, it kind of, Dream Girl Evil is kind of like if Lady Gaga did a Hosier song.
It kind
And
of
it kind of
is.
I
is.
could see that.
Wait, Maria, do you like Maggie Rogers?
Yeah, what I've heard, I haven't listened to any of her albums in full, but
She
yeah.
did the background vocals on Girls Against God and Dream Girl Evil.
That's so
Because
tea.
she was recording down the hall at Electric Lady Studios.
Oh, that's cool.
And so then Florence did some vocals on her sophomore album. That's a flop.
Oh, the black and white one.
The black and white one that no one likes and almost ruined her career. Yeah, that one.
Got it. Well, that's
I kind
cool.
of wonder, do you know, like, so if just goes down the hall and puts her vocals down, does she get a check for that? Like, how does that work?
I don't
Like, does
know.
she have to sign something before she does it? Or they're
I
just
don't
kind of like, sure,
know.
sister.
Do you think Emma Stone got
That's what I'm
paid
saying for Florida.
For Florida for oddities? That's what she's credited as. Oddities. Whatever that means.
Her poor thing's bag.
Her poor, literally. Her just doing the
She
Bella
watch her
Baxter
got paid
dance.
more for tortured poets than Poor Things.
Ta- well, Taylor's got the money. But no,
Drag
what about
Searchlight. Or wait, who produced?
Searchlight.
It was
Searchlight?
Yeah.
Searchlight.
You got it,
Oh,
Queen. So what
okay.
about Dream Girl Evil resonated with Maria?
Well, thank God you asked. I think, well, for me, it was just like the theatrics of it. Like, I mean, I've said it before, but at the middle of the album just was so drama and so theatrical to me, and that's what I really, really gravitated
Wanted and
towards in the
craved.
whole
Yeah.
experience. And yes, and that's what I wanted the whole thing to be. But yeah, I just liked how kind of witchy it was.
It's so
It's not
witchy.
as stomp and holler as Heaven is Here. And something that I might have discussed before that
I
is
mean,
like
that song is just Stomp and Holler.
that's exactly what it is, a stomp and holler. And sometimes I have an issue with that because something that I don't like in music is like when there's just big gaps of nothing throughout a song. So that's why
Yes,
that song
because you talked about this with Love Song from Like a Prayer.
yeah. Yeah. So that's why Heaven is Here specifically wasn't like my ultimate moment. So I feel like this one, Dream Girl Evil had a mix of it's got that kind of earthy quality to it, but it's not so sparse the way that those songs can be. And this just had a lot more like fluidity throughout it. And it just felt like very textured and all of that. So yeah, that's why it was my favorite. But yeah, I just loved the drama that find itself in the midpoint of this album. So
Dream Girl Evil also gives me huge what kind of man energy.
Yes, it is very much that kind of. Yes.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like I mean the songs that you all said you like Cassandra and this are like the rockiest moments on I think the album. And so I think that you
hmm
will again love How Big How Blue because that is like her rock album.
yeah, well, I'm excited.
I'm
All
feeling
right,
very
Levi.
excited. Um yeah, I had a really hard time too. So my 4 and my 5 were so close to my three, but I ended up going with the song that just like feels like so like distinctly Florence and like so distinctly Dance Fever and like puts me in a mood that no other song does, and that's Choreomania. Choreomania just does something like chemical to me. And like the bridge of you think that rock and roll is dead, but is that just because it has not been resurrected in your image? And then when she like wails, like if Jesus came back. I mean, I go so, and like the beat goes do 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 do. I go so, and it's like, oh yeah. I'm like, you better bellow, bellow. It is so good. And like that song just like has this like relentlessness that I love. Like I love songs that like once they start, they never stop. There's never a moment where like the energy goes back down. It starts kind of in this like sputtering kind of and then it just builds and it goes darker and it goes deeper. And by the end, like you kind of are put in that headspace of just spinning wildly and wildly out of control and just kind of like surrendering yourself to the dance mania, to the dance fever, if you will. So that's my number three. My number two is Miss Free, or the Levi Welch autobiography. Yeah, I mean, I talked about how much that song means to me, and I just think it's just so
Y-
incredible.
You
And
know what
then
else I love about Free
what?
is because it was on the Eras Tour
Yeah, it was.
pre-show. It was like
And
I
so
think it's
was
like the first one after the opener,
and
right?
so was
Before Taylor.
and King was also on the Eras Tour
That's right,
feat.
that's right. But Free was like the one like right after like this opener before Taylor. Free would
Yes,
be.
yes.
And so every time that song would play when I was at the tour, I was like, this is Taylor going, Levi, I'm about to come out.
Okay, while we're talking about it, I think King is one of the most Taylor Swift songs. That's not a Taylor Swift song. I think that song could just be written about her because, like, she also needs her golden crown of sorrow and her bloody sword to swing. And like,
Totally.
she's no mother, she's no bride, girl's
She could
king.
have totally written that lyric too.
She
Like
so
I
could
wouldn't
have.
be shocked if Florence like looked in the recycling bin at Electric Lady and
Electric
was
Lady,
like,
and it's like, wait,
"Ooh,
what is this page that's like written in like sparkly like pen and has like cat hair all over it? I think I'm gonna take this. Like, it's so Taylor's Nachos.
yeah."
So that's my number two, Free. And then my number one is my second favorite Florence and the Machine song of all time, Morning Elvis. Um, there's nothing I love more than a good album closer. Like a good album closer is almost always going to be in my top, just because like I think if you stick that landing, I just find it so impressive. Um, and I think it is the perfect album closer. I think the story that she's singing about is so specific yet universal. It's a song I deeply relate to. I think the production is beautiful because it's both light and also lush. I think it sums up the central themes and conflict of the album beautifully. I love that it ends with like the sound of a crowd cheering because this album is so much about live performance and her relationship to being a performer. And I just love this image of like, but if I make it to the stage, if I make it to the stage, if I can pull myself together out of this fucking catastrophe that I'm in right now, if I make it to the stage, I'll show you what it means to be saved. I'll show you what it means to be spared. Like it's just, I find it so powerful. It's Academy Award,
EGOT.
literally Pulitzer. So that's I mean, and I've also never made it to Graceland. I don't know about you guys, but
I
oh, and
have.
it has one of my you have.
Yeah, I've been to Graceland.
Well, girl,
I have family in
that's
Memphis, girl.
I mean, I'm happy for you. Oh yeah, duh. Is Graceland cool?
Yeah, it's cool. There's like carpet on the ceiling and like it's really vibey and that sort of thing, you know.
It also has one of my
Maria's
favorite all-time
laughing.
it has one of my favorite all-time lyrics of all time. I
Favorite
love
all-time
the
lyrics of all time.
yeah, I love the lyric. I pressed my forehead to the floor and prayed for a trapdoor.
Oh,
Um,
Oh,
because
girl.
like I think like when you're experiencing like a moment, whether that be, I mean, for Florence, obviously, it's like her struggles with addiction and alcohol and drugs. But for me, it's like intense, like panic attack or anything. Like there are moments where like you just like want to escape and you're just like, I would give anything right now. Like I think about like the moments where like I was like in public and had a panic attack and had to like run to a bathroom and I'm like sobbing and heaving and like I'm a mess and I'm just like in the bathroom like on the floor being like, is there a way out? Is there a second exit? Like how can I leave this situation? And I love when lyrics are like feelings or thoughts that I've had or experiences that I've had that I've never heard put into words before. And that's one of those for me.
Hmm.
So
It's amazing.
that's it. Okay. Are we going to break out the utensils?
Yes,
Yes.
it's time for album ratings.
And we at Pop Girlies have a utensil drawer of reviews. And first up, we're gonna get our, oh, what is this? Oh, it's pronged. Our Drew Fork. And Drew Fork is gonna tell us what he thinks about Dance
Yes.
Fever.
This one was hard for me because I would rate other Florence albums higher. It's definitely not my favorite. I think it's probably my third favorite of hers. I would put How Big, How Blue and Highest Hope above it. But it's hard because I think the highs of these are like very close to being the highs of those albums. It's just the things that maybe put it third are kind of the interludes, which suck because like the interludes I think are good. It just does take away from. Well, it's hard because the interludes, while they aren't as good as the other tracks, I don't think that they take away from anything, but I
No, I
think
don't think so.
just because they exist, like maybe make it. I don't like it. Do you know what
They
I
had
mean though? Like
the nerve to exist.
it's
Restraint
hard.
had the nerve to walk its ugly ass face
But
through
I
my
don't
door.
hate restraint. I'm just
No,
like,
you hate Prayer Factory.
and I don't hate that one either. I just like I just like the other Florence albums that I've spoken about are so concise, but they hit at every single song hits so hard.
Yeah, it
And
doesn't
like
have
there are
that like
songs on
extra
this,
space.
yeah, there is just yeah, exactly. There's just extra space. So I'm gonna give this one a 9.1.
Okay, Maria. Maria Spoon, let's dip it. Dip up, scoop it up.
Hmm. Hmm. So, so I think for this, my rating for it is because I did like the whole thing. Like I just have to say that. But I feel like my expectations for it kind of tainted my experience with it a little bit. Um, but again, I do think it's interesting to hear your perspective, Levi, on how this is kind of the like portfolio almost of her sound. And I think it was a little bit hard for me as an outsider to fully understand all of what was going on here without the
Yeah.
context of any of her other music for the most part. So, for me, I think I'm thinking right now a solid 8.
Okay. Um, so the Levi knife, slicing it up. Oh, maybe not.
Oh,
Maybe not that. Um, wait, do you guys, this is like Alex's favorite thing in the world. Do you remember when Lana Del Rey worked at Waffle House?
yeah.
Yes, I know what you're about to say. We should not say this on the podcast.
Okay,
Yeah,
Maria, do you
move
know what I'm
on.
talking about?
Yes, I do know what you mean.
Okay,
Let's
Yeah.
not say it.
if you don't know what I'm talking about, just look up Lana Del Rey Waffle House and you'll find a
Trigger
video called
warning.
Trigger Warning, but it's really funny. Um, okay. I was really struggling with this actually because I always I put a lot of pressure on myself with these reviews with the specifically with the number rating. And I wanted to make sure that like my personal relationship with this album wasn't like tainting overall like objectivity, but also on one hand like art is so subjective and like art is personal. Um and on the other hand like I just love this album. I love this album so much and like I wouldn't change anything about it because I do think that the interludes serve an absolute purpose. I think that they're there for a reason. I think they add something, and I think they increase the storyline. Like actually, one of my favorite lines on the entire album is that first line of Prayer Factory. Um, I love when she goes like my montage of lost things. I love that. So I really, really challenged myself to be like, is it really a 10? and I feel like I give tens out willy-nilly, but I also don't give a fuck. This is my podcast and I can do whatever the hell I want. And if you whine about it, go to some other stupid dumb ass podcast, okay? So me yelling at the imaginary haters I've made up in my brain. But
The people that hate listen to this podcast
the
2 hours
people
into it.
uh I'm giving it a 10 and I don't even give a shit.
Hmm.
So it's a 10 for me. And so that is an average score for the Pop Girlies of a 9.03. Pretty good.
Nice. I'm glad I
Eight,
didn't
nine,
give it out
10.
of the nines.
Yeah, that would have been so embarrassing for you.
Oh,
Because you do love to hold my hand tank a Levi album. Let's just say that.
oh my God. Oh, whatever. Whatever.
Actually, no, that's not true. Drew
I was
hold my
like,
hand tanks Levi
yeah, I
albums.
was gonna
Just
say, like,
Ray of
I've been with
Light.
you every Madonna album. What are we talking
Yeah,
about?
you have.
I
Drew,
rated
you
erotica higher than you.
you did. It
I
has to be said. You really did.
yeah.
Well, just get ready for the gag apocalypse when we both give our tens to you know what.
You know who.
You know who. Miss Soy Latte.
American life.
American Life.
Like it's coming.
The
Everybody
Pop
get
Girlies
ready.
almost need to take like a 6-month break before we do American Life, just so we get all of the Shanties back on track
The
in
American Life,
anticipation.
like it's probably gonna like fix like the economy, like the American Life
Trump will
episode.
be out.
Tariffs? Never heard of her before.
Who-
Never heard.
What's a tariff? Soy Latte? Don't know.
All coffee shops are now only allowed to serve soy lattes with double
With a double
shots.
shot. Double shots? You mean a double shot?
Well, I was just being like real world for a second
There's no real world.
about
There's
the
American
mandate.
life only.
Wait, Levi, have you noticed the American Life single art in Scarlet on their single wall?
You guys sent it to me. Like the
Yeah,
last
it's
time you were there,
insane.
you sent it to me. Okay, the next time we go, we have to like go to that part. Where is it in the
It's
bar?
on the
It's right above
ceiling.
the DJ. Yeah,
It's
it's
on
on
the
the ceiling.
ceiling. It's on the ceiling above the DJ booth, so it's unreachable.
I don't give a shit. We are taking the photo that we can get is the photo we're taking, girl.
Also, so for context, at the nightclub that we go to, all of the wall for most of the walls are covered in album covers, and at the very back of the bar on the ceiling, it's all single album arts. Like on the main wall where there's album arts, it's all like main covers and they're a little bit larger, but then the ceiling of the back part is just singles. And there's like almost there's very little Madonna representation at this bar. And the other night, Drew and I noticed that the American Life single album cover is like in the part where it's singles, and we had never noticed it before, so we were like really gagged about it.
Gagged.
That's the story.
It's yeah. It's I mean it's the greatest piece of music ever recorded. I mean I don't know what else there is to say about it.
Okay,
Like,
folklore. And okay, the next album we're about to do.
Oh, segue. Uh, okay, what? I don't know what that was.
Anyways,
Same.
so
So Drew, what's happening next week?
next week is the birthday of me,
yes.
25.
Why did you say it like that?
I don't
The
know.
birthday of
The
me.
birthday is me.
And I've been holding this album and artist since we started the podcast. She's like on my Mount Rushmore. She's like literally one of my favorite artists ever. And the album that we're going to do is my favorite album of all time. And it's Golden Hour by Casey Musgraves.
Yay.
Yeah.
So looking forward to that.
Yay. Well, I'm so
Oh my
excited.
God. It's kind of crazy that we're like literally about to go like watch the Golden Hour while we're all recovering from our dance fever.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Think about it.
Think about that. Chew on.
Let that sink in.
Wait, what if we did an episode in full ASMR?
I would
Um,
lose steam, I feel like, pretty quick.
Hello, Pop Girlies. Wait, I'm not Levi
Okay.
Fork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. Let's wrap
Okay,
it up.
so no one's living for that except for me.
All right. I'm gonna
Speed
go
it up
be
a little
free.
Oh, you're gonna go be free, girl?
Girl
Well,
against God.
I am gonna go spin with choreomania.
Well, girl, it's almost midnight. I gotta go cry into my cereal.
Oh, girl, you do. Oh my God, guys, I just saw my future in the face of a daffodil. I gotta go look at it.
Oh, restraint.
I've never
Oh.
showed it. And on that
Okay.
note,
Shanti.
bye.